Hello, beautiful ones. I hope you're all having a beautiful now. I know it's been a little while since I've made a video, but I'm here. This is winter. It's called Puta Creek Lake. It's very beautiful, and I thought this would be a good spot to do this. So I know this past few weeks for a lot of people have been really difficult to get through, and I feel like it's made a lot of people have to almost cocoon and just kind of go within themselves and heal, and that's kind of what I've been doing. There's been a lot of things that have happened that have made people just really have to reassess their situation, reassess their life. And for me, something that came up, and it's something that is something that's always been with me, and I do believe that it's something that is something that a lot of people deal with. I'm not the only one. And that's why I like to share a lot of my experiences when I can, because I realize that a lot of people are also going through similar experiences, and maybe this can help them to realize that they're not crazy, that this is, this is part of the process that we're going through. This is part of the shift that we're going through internally, individually, but also as a collective. And so what I wanted to talk about today was this feeling that a lot of humans have that is deep down inside, and it's just this uncomfortableness. It's this thing that everybody tries to run away with, people, or tries to run away from, people will, they'll drink, they'll do drugs, they'll turn to sex, they'll turn to shopping, they'll turn to anything just so that they don't have to deal with that feeling, that discomfort that kind of just sits in the background. And I always said that it was almost like a program that was running in the background without me realizing that it was running in the background. And I saw my whole life, and through that filter of that, it's just like an ickiness is the best way I can describe it. It's this feeling of terror, of fear, of just not being able to relax, and it's a lot of the pain, and it's a lot of the suffering that we accumulate over time, and maybe that we've even accumulated over lifetimes, that's with us, that is very uncomfortable, and that a lot of people will do anything and everything to run away from, just so that they don't have to feel that. And it does take a lot of courage to even start to open up yourself to feeling that discomfort, but it does open you up to start healing. And for me, what I'm realizing is that you do have to slow down, and you do have to stop, but it does take a lot of courage for you to just stop and just to feel, and not to fight what's coming up. So not fighting the feelings of discomfort. There's a reason why they're coming up. I do believe that emotions are a way of our soul, of our being, speaking to us and communicating with us. And so, for example, we have fear in us that doesn't allow us to open up to love fully, or some sort of resentment or unforgiveness, or just anything that is almost like opposite to love. And we have this emotions that have just been sitting there, maybe since childhood or even before. And now it's time for us to heal, and to start to feel the love, and to just start to love ourselves. And it's almost like our soul is able to show us or give us like little things that are getting in the way of us being able to really fully step into our power, step into our love, step into our truth, and for us to really start our healing process. A lot of us, it's crazy because I say a lot of us, but the truth is that all humans have some sort of trauma that they've experienced, that they've had to go through, and that they, as children, they weren't able to deal with, they weren't able to process. And so that kind of stays back there, and it makes a lot of their decisions, it affects a lot of their decisions and the way that they view the world. And then once that comes up, it's hard to know. And a lot of times you do have to, get therapy, look for help, look for ways for you to get through whatever it is that you're going through. But the great thing to know is that we do have the courage, the strength, and the ability to get through whatever comes up. We're not alone, which is one of the greatest things that I find that is helpful to me, is realizing that we're not alone, that if we need to ask for help, we can ask for help from those around us, and we can also ask for help from those that are in spirit, what I call spirit guides, our ancestors, so many different beings that are here that are willing to help us. But it really does have to start with us just having to stay still long enough for us to be able to feel and face the pain and the suffering and whatever it is that that we've been living with for so many years, and just being brave enough to just stop. And I know it's difficult, and it's not something that even a lot of us even want to do. A lot of us, it's the last thing that we want to do. And it's interesting because, you know, you hear about a lot of people just not being able to face that feeling, and a lot of people just ending their life. And it's ironic because you can't ever run away from yourself, you know. So you can go ahead and, you know, my experience as a teenager was that I was very unhappy, very depressed. I didn't want to be here. And so I traveled. I went to another country, and I would come back, and I was back and forth. And I realized at that point that no matter where I went, like that suffering, that unhappiness, that yucky feeling followed me, because it was something that, I don't want to say it was a part of me, but it was something that I had integrated into myself, that was a part of my existence. And that no matter what I did, no matter where I went, I was always there. I was that calming factor. And it's so easy when we're suffering to look at other people and say, oh, it's their fault that we're suffering. They're the ones that are causing this suffering. But to realize that we are that common factor, and that and it's not that other people don't necessarily cause you suffering, and that, you know, you're always at fault. But realize that a lot of the suffering that humans go through isn't so much someone else doing something to you, but a lot of it is internal. A lot of it is, how do we react to the things that we experience? What programs are running in the background that we're not aware of, that are making the situation far worse than it should be? And it doesn't matter what stage or what part of your awakening process you're going through. It's tough for all of us. It's tough for all of us that are going through these changes and through this transitions, and facing, you know, what we would say, you know, our inner demons, or facing like those dark parts of ourselves that we don't want to see, that we don't want to face. Maybe they're memories, maybe they're belief systems, maybe there's things that we've been taught that we don't necessarily want to face. And a lot of people will just, you know, they'll just commit suicide. They'll end it. They'll find a way to run away. And you can't run away from it. You do at some point have to just stop and say, okay, enough is enough. I need to face this. I'm worthy of happiness, of love, and I have the strength and the ability to deal with this thing that is coming up. This mound, or, you know, that seems so you know, incapable. You're incapable of of getting through. You can get through it. And the wonderful thing is that you look at the example of just humanity in general, and humanity, you know, as a collective, we're so strong. We have been through so much, and we have experienced so much. And even some of the things that we think are like the worst things that could have ever happened to us, you know, to other people, maybe that's an everyday thing that happens to them. And I'm not saying this to minimize anyone's suffering, because even some people, they may have an experience where doesn't seem like it would be that bad, but to them it is, because, you know, we don't know internally what's going on for them and what they're feeling. And so it's good to always try to, you know, show compassion, but to also kind of, you know, realize and put things into perspective. And I know while we're going through it, and while we're in the dark hole, it's hard for us to be able to see the full picture, and to be able to see that there is a way out, you know, that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, as they say. And but it's when we're going through it, it's very difficult. And, you know, that's why it's always important. And I remind myself, you know, no matter what I'm feeling, it is temporary. It's not going to last forever. You know, I could have the worst day of my life one day, and then have the best day of my life the next day. And I find that what for me, what brings me joy and what brings me happiness is the ability for me to help others, is the ability for me to enjoy things, such as, you know, this right now, you know, this path right here, this beautiful, you know, natural habitat that I'm surrounded by right now. And I hear about people that have a lot of money, and, you know, they get to a point where they're like, you know, none of this makes sense. Like, I thought I was gonna find happiness in, you know, in money. I thought I was gonna find happiness in being, you know, beautiful, being young, being fit, you know, doing all that stuff. But you realize that a lot of those people, they end up taking their lives too, because they find no meaning. They're like, oh, I wanted to do this, and yet this has no meaning. And you know, a beautiful, beautiful young child recently told me, and I don't know if he heard it from somewhere else. It doesn't matter. It's a beautiful message. He said he told someone that if they didn't want their life, to give it to someone else. And I thought that it was such a beautiful message, because that's what I find is when we are in our, you know, when we're at a place where nothing has meaning, and we feel like there's no hope, and we've already tried everything and nothing's helping. And it's like at that point, I feel that what helps the most is to be able to be of service, to be of assistance to others, to help others. And like I've said before, you know, if you don't have anyone around you that you can help, then help yourself. And sometimes that can mean you helping yourself by just getting a drink of water. If it's, you know, beings that you're around, you have pets, you have kids, you have friends, you have, you know, your spouse, family members, you know, do something nice for them. If you feel like life has no meaning for you, then give that life to someone in the way by doing something for them. And it's a very, very powerful message to not give up and to realize that there's much more to life than just the problems and just the icky feeling, and to know that that can pass, and that we do have the strength, the ability, the perseverance and the determination to get through this, and that we are able to come out of the situations and be happy and be wise and you know, and be compassionate towards others who are experiencing this kind of suffering that we can all relate to. As a collective, we can all relate to suffering. We've all been through some sort of ordeal that we've had to go through, and it's so interesting how we can be so like cold towards someone who's suffering, even though we know what it's like to suffer, and we know what it's like to have, you know, feel alone and feel like you have no one. But I do want to remind everyone and anyone who's listening to this that you are not alone, that you are loved, and that you do have a lot of help around you. And I know that a lot of people are closed off to, you know, or maybe even scared to open up themselves to the energy that's around them, but it's an energy that's also inside of you. It's a part of you. So just wanted to share that message, to just keep on going. I don't think that it's gonna kind of come in waves back and forth as to like the difficulties or the intensity of the energies that are coming. I feel that the system that we have right now is slowly breaking apart, so that there is a new one that can come in. And it will be done differently for different people. Like I say, don't listen to apocalyptic prophecies or anything like that. We are all living in we're multi-dimensional beings, and we're living in infinite dimensions. So it's up to you what you choose, and you don't have to have or even align with a reality that's a doom and gloom reality, or something where something like catastrophic is going to happen. So we're not alone. We are protected. The planet is very much protected, even though it doesn't seem like it. And we're like I say, we're right where we should be. I've said before, and just keep on going. Don't give up. Tomorrow and the next, you know, moment could be even better than now. And you never know what you have ahead of you. As a teenager, I wanted to end my life, and I tried many times, and I can't imagine having done that. I mean, back then, that's what I thought was the only solution, because I was hurting so much and I wanted to end the pain. But it's, you know, like I say, you can't run away. You can't run away from yourself. You can't run away from it. You eventually have to just stop, take a deep breath, and just face whatever is coming up. And again, know that you have the courage and the ability to face whatever is coming up. But I think back to what I was saying, that I think if I had been successful, I would have missed out on so much. I would have really cheated myself out of living. I probably would have come back anyways. I would have to have come back, but I had an experience where I did actually was partially successful. I was in a hospital for a few days, and it took me a while for me to recover, to be able to walk again, to be able to talk again. And I came back from that experience completely changed, and I wanted to live, and I had this new zest for life that I had never had. And you hear about that. There was a guy that was talking about how he jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge, and he said that as soon as his feet cleared the rail, he knew instantly that he had made a mistake and he wanted to live. And the guy survived, and I guess he's like 1% of people that survived jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge. But I've heard that, you know, from other people that have had like near-death experiences, or people that have done it where they're like, I regret it. As soon as I did it, I regret it. I didn't want it to be. But when we're in such pain and in such despair, we think that that's the only way out. And I just wish to remind you all, and especially those who are suffering right now, those who feel like there's no hope and there's no end to their pain, that it is all temporary, that you don't just exist in this one dimension. You're not just a one-dimensional being, you're a multi-dimensional being. Tap into your greater power, tap into your greater self, tap into your inner God, goddess, whatever you want to call it, source, spirit, you know, whatever name you want to give it, tap into that power that exists within you, that is all around you, that is not a part of you, that is always there to support you. I love you. Be blessed. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Bye-bye.